Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. I'm Tom Silver. You're welcome to log in to our hypnosis webcast tonight. In case you have any questions, I might be able to answer those questions at the end of the show. And I want to welcome all my friends. But first of all, I'd like to extend my best wishes, sincere wishes, to all of the people in Japan for a speedy recovery. And I know that you have the fortitude, you have the right attitude, and that you're going to be able to prevail from this event, this catastrophe, and you're going to rise to glory. And so I want to send my sincere wishes to all of my good friends in Japan. And I also want to say hi to all my friends in Indonesia. If you're tuning in right now from Indonesia, why don't you log on in to the website? So in case you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. And I want to thank my friends all throughout the United States, throughout Europe, my good friends in Singapore, David Toe. I know you're either sleeping or you're going to be logging in very shortly. And this is a wonderful, wonderful webcast. I'm going to have this webcast every single week. And we're going to discuss some wonderful topics in the field of hypnotism, scientific hypnosis, neurological hypnosis. Now, some of you might be tuning in for the very first week. This show is on every Monday night at the same time, every Monday night at 7 p.m. You can tune in, and it's free. It is absolutely free. And I'm going to be giving you my knowledge, my experience, my life experience, my adventures in the field of hypnotism, and some amazing techniques, some extraordinary methods and techniques that you'll be able to utilize into your own private hypnotherapy practice. I know some of you are advanced hypnotherapists, and maybe you've studied at some of the courses out there. There's a lot of wonderful courses out there that offer knowledge and techniques in hypnosis, just like I do with the Tom Silver Institute of Scientific Hypnosis and the Hypnosis Foundation. I've been pioneering neurological scientific methods in hypnosis and hypnotherapy for over 25 years. I'm going to teach you a wonderful technique this evening, which is one of the first methods of hypnosis that I actually learned when I went to hypnosis school back in the 1980s. And this technique works on easy subjects, and it's a great starting method. It's a great technique for you to utilize, and I'm glad to introduce you to it. Some of you might already know this technique, but it's a wonderful technique that can be very successful on some people. Of course, the more methods, the more techniques that you know, the more proficient you're going to be as a hypnotherapist, because the more tools that you will be able to utilize to help your clients reach their goals in life. And you know, what we do in hypnosis is we help our clients actually to be the best that they can be. We teach our clients how to utilize their mind and how to think properly, but also to stimulate the right positive emotions that help them to change their lives. Now, if you like, you can log in right now onto this website. You can log in so I can see that you're there, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them at the end of the show. But this is a live broadcast. It's a live webcast broadcast. Tonight with me I have a wonderful person. You don't mind if I tell the folks that you are my daughter, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, this is my daughter Mariah, and she has volunteered this evening to help me demonstrate this technique called the arm raising induction method. And so we're going to be able to teach this technique to everybody out there this evening. But we want to, before we begin and we show that technique, we want to talk a little bit about the science of hypnosis. I've been a practicing hypnotherapist for over 25 years. My motivation is helping people change their lives. I also show creativity and imagination of our subconscious mind, because our mind is a very powerful computer. Our mind is a neurocomputer. And the more that you learn how to operate your mind, the more you're going to be able to achieve the goals that you want in your life in hypnotherapy, as well as the more you're going to be able to teach your clients how to think correctly. Because so many people have what I might call incorrect thinking or negative thinking. So it's important as a hypnotherapist to teach your client how to think, how to give themselves the right positive suggestions, and how to intellectually and logically allow their mind to think positive. And we're going to talk about that in the coming weeks also. But as you know, hypnosis is a wonderful science. It's been used by medical doctors. It's been used by therapists for over 200 years. and as you know, the father of hypnotism, one of the main really important contributors to the science of hypnosis was Dr. Mesmer. There was also Dr. James Braid. There was Dr. Franz Polgar in the early 1900s, Dr. Airsdale. And most of the people that practiced hypnotherapy were medical doctors, actually. And back in the old days, the science of hypnosis was called mesmerism, and it was called magnetism. But it was definitely a science that was being explored and investigated by many medical doctors throughout Europe, throughout France, throughout England, throughout Ireland. It's an unbelievably wonderful science. The more you get to know about the science, the more you're going to appreciate why you are here, and you are here to help people to change their lives. Like I said, if you'd like, you can log in. We do have one of my friends from Connecticut logged in, but we know we have a lot of friends out there in Indonesia, as well as in Singapore and all over the world. So feel free to log in to the website. So if you have any questions, I'll be able to answer your questions this evening, because I like to answer every question that comes into me by the end of the evening. And remember, everything that I'm telling you is based on my 25 years of knowledge and experience as a scientific clinical hypnotherapist. I create breakthrough methods to bypass conscious resistance to help my clients to reach their goals every single day and in every way. So I'm going to give you a formula and a method, technique, a mindset process that I learned and that my good friend Norman McGill used to talk about all the time, and that is the method of visualization, affirmation, and projection. And the reason I like to talk about this, because I think it's important as a hypnotherapist that you tune your mind in to achieve the results that you want to achieve during your hypnotherapy session. So there's 3 key words that are very important for you to achieve your objective. And your objective is to be to help that client overcome obstacles, emotions, habits, addictions, or negative thinking. And this method is very powerful, but you need to practice it. Because I think sometimes when people come in to see a hypnotherapist, they go in and their mind, the client themselves is a little resistant. That's why it's important to learn all these different methods and techniques and to explain hypnosis as a science. But I think sometimes the hypnotherapist themselves might not have that right, correct mindset that will help them achieve tremendous successes in your therapy session. If you go in to conduct a session and your mind is distracted and you're not really focused on your client, maybe the impact of your suggestions under hypnosis might not be as strong or as powerful or as effective as you really would like them to be. So I have a method, and it's a 3-word method called visualization, affirmation, and projection. So visualization, affirmation, and projection is a technique that Norman McGill was talking about for years. He passed this method on to me, and it is extraordinary because it can create such tremendous success in your hypnotherapy session if you practice it correctly. So when I say visualization, what do I mean? Do you know what I mean when I say the word visualization, Mariah?
Sight.
Well, sight, that's a good answer. I mean to visualize something in your mind. Have you ever visualized something in your life that you wanted to achieve or do? Have you ever seen yourself doing it in your mind?
Yep.
Were you able to achieve that success by actually doing it once you could see yourself doing it in your mind?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you. That's visualization. You need to visualize in your mind what it is that you're going to do in this hypnotherapy session that you're going to have with this client that's come in because they want to let go of an emotion or a fear or a habit or a negative anxiety or a limitation in their life. So as a hypnotherapist, you want to visualize in your mind what it is that you want to do. For me, when a client comes in to see me for hypnotherapy, I want to visualize in my mind. I want to visualize in my mind that client going into very deep hypnosis, being very receptive. I want to visualize in my mind that my hypnotherapy technique that I'm going to utilize is going to work great on them. So I'm visualizing also in my mind the end result of that client leaving my session feeling better than when they came in, feeling that there has been a life change in their life and that this session was successful. So visualization is to visualize. Everybody, just close your eyes for a moment. And I want you just to visualize something, just imagine something. Maybe even just pretend that you could see something. Mariah, I want you to do this too. Just close your eyes for a moment and just visualize in your mind something that you want to do, whatever it is that you want to do. If it's a hypnotherapy session, visualize in your mind, hypnotherapist, yourself producing that wonderful receptive state of hypnosis. Just see it in your mind. If you can't visualize it, imagine it. If you can't imagine it, just simply pretend what it would feel like if you could see it. And when you can imagine or visualize or pretend that you can see an end result, you have the ability to produce that end result. Do you see it in your mind right now, Mariah? Good. Excellent. Okay. Excellent. So you want to be able to visualize in your mind what it is that you are going to be doing with your client. Your hypnosis session, the hypnotherapy, the induction, the awakening from hypnosis, that client leaving feeling that there has been a life change occurring. So you want to visualize it in your mind. You want to affirm what it is that you're going to do. And you can affirm it to yourself silently. You can affirm it to your client. You could say to your client, an example of that would be, today we're going to have a very successful hypnotherapy session. I'm going to produce a very deep receptive state of hypnosis. The therapy session is going to be very successful. The suggestions or words that I give you under hypnosis are going to create a life change, or it's going to help you to let go of those negative emotions, and we're going to be able to transmit these real positive emotions and positive feelings into your mind, into that subconscious hard drive in that computer of your mind. And that when you leave today, you're going to leave feeling fully refreshed with a lot of energy. Because, 15 minutes of a hypnosis relaxation is equal to about 5 hours of a natural sleep. So now I'm affirming what it is to the client. Today, I'm here to hypnotize you. The session is going to be very successful. You're going to become very receptive. You already know that you can go into hypnosis. I've explained to the client about environmental hypnosis. And we want to talk about that too today. I think it's very important. We let the client know that this feeling and experience of being hypnotized is not something unnatural, but is something very natural that we all experience each and every day. Mariah, do you know that you've been hypnotized many times in the past? Did you know that? Mm-mm. Okay. Well, let me give you some examples of what we call environmental hypnosis, okay? So that you'll realize that you've already had this experience of being hypnotized. Mariah, have you ever watched a movie and felt the emotions of the movie?
Yeah.
Right. You're in the movie theater, but you're feeling the emotions of the movie? Mm-hmm. What was an exciting movie that you've seen recently?
Battle LA.
Battle LA, right. Yeah. And it was a very exciting movie, right? Mm-hmm. I was there with you. I saw that movie with you. It was exciting. Were you on the edge of your seat?
Yeah.
Were you feeling the suspense of the movie? The drama of the movie? Right. Was the movie even emotional to you at times?
Yeah, I cried.
You cried during that movie? Okay. Well, when you were watching that movie, Mariah, you were in a state of focused concentration, magnified concentration. You were actually hypnotized watching that movie. So watching movies and feeling the emotions of the movie, you're hypnotized. Now, you were still aware you were sitting in a movie theater, right? Or at times, did you even kind of forget you were in the movie theater and felt you were in this movie?
I wasn't thinking about the theater.
You were absorbed in the movie. So you were hypnotized. So this is what we call environmental hypnosis. Have you ever, do you watch sports or know anyone watching sports?
No people watching sports.
Have you ever seen someone yell at an athlete on a TV set?
My dad.
Her dad. Feeling the emotions of the game. I'm her stepdad, by the way. Okay, we want to clarify that. Feeling the emotions of the game, right?
Yeah.
So that person was in a state of focused concentration. They were hypnotized. So you've had this experience many times. Today's hypnotherapy session is going to go really great. It's going to be real successful. You're going to go into what I call a very receptive state of hypnosis today, and you're going to leave feeling the results of this hypnotherapy session. Does that sound good to you? Okay. So I'm just using this as an example. I've affirmed to my client what's going to occur. They're going to become very receptive. 15 minutes of a hypnosis relaxation equal to about 5 hours of a natural sleep. When they're going to leave feeling good, feeling the success of that session. So you want to visualize in your mind what it is you want to achieve. You want to affirm to the client an affirmation, direct, literal suggestions to yourself, out loud, or maybe to your client, what's going to occur. Sometimes in my private hypnotherapy training sessions that I do with the one-on-one trainings when people come in from other cities or states or countries to train with me, and even in my group courses, You know, I will sometimes tell the client exactly what I'm going to do to hypnotize them. I will give them those instructions. I will give them those directions, because those instructions and directions make it easier for your client to follow the technique and to follow everything. Hi, Tom. We've got John Wallaby. John! Oh my gosh, my great friend from Australia. Thank you, mate. John, Mariah knows John. Say hi to John.
Hi.
John, thank you for tuning in. So glad that you could be part of our live webcast tonight. You know, we still have those little wallabies that you gave me when you came to my training course. It was such a pleasure to see you. Hi, Mariah. There he's saying hi. Mariah's waving. Thanks so much for tuning in. John, can you hear me pretty well? Just say yes if you can hear us pretty well and see us pretty good on our webcast this evening. We're waiting for John's response. So while he's typing that in, we're going to continue. So we talked about visualization. You need to see what it is that you want to achieve. You really need to tune your own mind in, actually. Tune your mind into creating the results that you want in your client. You want to affirm what's going to happen. The depth of hypnosis, the success of the therapy. No, you always have the best advice. Oh, thank you, John. That is so nice of you, so kind of you, my friend. So you want to affirm it. Visualize what it is you want to achieve. Too many people, too many clients come in to see me and they are visualizing themselves failing. They're visualizing all of the negative, wrong things in their life, and they've been real successful at creating those wrong things in their life because their mind is thinking those negative thoughts, they are stimulating those negative emotions, and they wonder why they aren't able to change their life and get out of that comfort zone of being uncomfortable. So many people come in very successful at their limitations. So you want to visualize in your mind. You want to affirm what it is. And then you want to project the right intent as a hypnotherapist. This is the most important thing, folks. You want to project the right energy. Our mind produces energy. You know that. As a musician, you sing, right?
Yep.
Don't you put out energy in your music?
Yeah.
Doesn't it sometimes affect some of the people that are listening to your singing? Right. They feel happy or joy, or you get them emotional, right? Mm-hmm. Mariah is a wonderful singer, a vocalist too. Maybe on one of the casts we'll have her even sing a little song. But anyway, so you want to project the right intent. And that is your passion, your determination, your own focus, folks, as a hypnotherapist. Don't have a wandering mind. Don't have a distracted mind. Have a focused mind. Have a concentrated mind on seeing your client, receiving, and accepting your suggestions under hypnotherapy. That right there will create success in your hypnotherapy session more than ever before. You want to visualize in your mind what it is you want to achieve, and that is success for your client. Don't visualize yourself just taking the money from your session or going home, but see yourself right there doing the hypnotherapy process, the session, even before you conduct that session. Get relaxed, get focused. Visualize in your mind. Explain to your client what hypnosis is. It's a science. It is a neurophysiological science, which we'll get into during the weeks because I do teach advanced scientific methods. So you want to explain to your client that they've had this experience before and that you're going to affirm to them, since you've felt the emotions of watching a movie, you're going to be very receptive today, just like watching a movie, but you're going to be receiving these wonderful, powerful suggestions and messages and mental messages that I'm going to give you that you want to have to achieve the results in your life. Doesn't that sound good?
Good.
Excellent. Thank you, Mariah. And then you want to put out that right energy. And again, our body and our mind produces energy. Our mind produces energy. We have neuroelectrical energy that's produced. Those are the brain waves, the brain frequencies, and the amplitudes or the volumes within those frequencies, because the mind is a neuroelectrical computer. It's also an emotional computer. It's also an intellectual analytical computer. It's a dual processing computer with the screen, like on the RAM on your computer, is your thoughts and the emotions and the habits and the patterns in your life, your fears, your negative emotions, your phobic anxieties, whatever they are, maybe those uncontrolled habits. That is the program within that subconscious part of your mind. That's a program in your subconscious hard drive. And let's look at that as kind of like a mental virus. That's what we do in the field of hypnotherapy. We help remove mental viruses out of our client's mind so that their mind is running smoothly, easily, effectively, successfully. But we also teach our clients how to think differently. And that's the goal of a hypnotherapist, to put you in control of your life every single day. And to be able to see a result, to see a success, to be able to affirm that success, and to be able to project that success into reality. So visualization, affirmation, and projection, wonderful techniques and tools. Practice it. When you're in a hypnotherapy session with your client, tune into what that client is telling you they want. Not what you think they need, but give your client what they want. This is a wonderful tip, a wonderful technique to make you more empowered as a hypnotherapist. So we're going to also talk today a little bit about induction techniques. There are many, many induction techniques. Some of you are already practicing hypnotherapists, so you already have an array of induction techniques, tools to put a person into that receptive state of hypnosis, that state of focused, magnified concentration. So we're going to teach you a technique today, and it's called an arm lifting induction method. And this is a method and technique that I originally learned. Yes, folks, I also was certified from a hypnosis school, an institute, years and years ago, back in the mid-'80s. And I went through the school for a year, and they taught 2 basic techniques that are pretty good on some people, not everybody. That's why it's important to learn some very advanced, scientific, 21st century hypnosis methods and techniques. How many of you use a progressive relaxation when you hypnotize a person? I bet probably at least 50% of you who are watching this show utilize a progressive relaxation technique when you hypnotize a person. Did you know that progressive relaxation technique is over 100 years old? And it's a great technique. It works on some people. It works to produce a nice, sometimes light stage of hypnosis, sometimes a very deep stage, receptive state of hypnosis to those people who are more receptive. You know, some people actually naturally go into hypnosis very deeply and quickly. Statistics say somewhere around 10% of the people, maybe give or take, can be very receptive to a progressive relaxation or even an arm raising induction technique. But I think when you're into the 21st century, into scientific hypnosis, that it's good to learn some of these other methods. Some of the methods that I've pioneered and that I teach people and that you, John Wallaby, have learned when coming to my courses, you know, are very, very effective because it's able to put a receptive, even a resistant person into very deep hypnosis. Kylie, I'm here. Welcome. Kyle Sands from England. Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so glad you made it. I think you are going to be a wonderful hypnotherapist and help many, many people, and I can't wait to continue to guide you on your path of scientific clinical hypnosis, because you have studied so much and you are so eager not just to learn but to help people change their lives, that I'm honored and very proud to be your friend. So thank you so much for tuning in. We've got with us England, we've got Connecticut, we've got Australia. I don't know about our friends in Indonesia or Singapore. You should be signing in. So anyway, it's really important to visualize, to affirm, and to project, but also to learn some advanced techniques. The progressive relaxation is a wonderful method. I utilize it usually as a deepening technique, as a more relaxation technique once I hypnotize my clients, but I have also used it as a primary induction. Again, these are just tools and techniques that we're teaching you. Okay, so excellent. Well, thank you so much for that message. And folks, so right now we want to show you this technique. It's an arm raising induction technique. And again, it's a wonderful technique. It's good to learn. It's good to study in all the different types of hypnosis schools. There's a lot of great schools out there. Believe me, years ago, I was the president of the National Guild of Hypnotists here in Los Angeles. I was the president in their local chapter. Of course, I branched out and I started my own schools and institutes, and I'm proud to say I've recently opened the United States Board of Clinical Hypnosis, which is based on elevating hypnosis to the 21st century, making it scientific, academic, logical, and easy to understand, but based on mind science, because that's what we are, really. We are hypnotherapists, and we're utilizing a wonderful science. So I like to teach people more about this science. Okay, so Tom, always researching new induction methods to access the unconscious mind. Thank you, John. We can also call the unconscious mind the subconscious mind. Maybe we can call it the healing aspect of our mind. Maybe we can call it the dynamic mind, because that is really 90% of all of your true potential. That storehouse of emotions is also the storehouse of neurochemical changes, such as serotonin, melatonin, beta endorphin, dopamine. And we'll get into all of the neuroscience about hypnosis too. But that subconscious part of our mind is the part we want to access. But we also want to teach our clients how to think properly so they can access that part of their mind every day to reach their goals and to feel happy and joy and success. So this is an arm-raising technique that I'm going to show you. And again, it works really good on some people. And it's a wonderful basic hypnotherapy method. And it might be new to some of you. So Mariah, will you allow me to demonstrate this technique to all of our good friends out there that are watching our webcast today? Okay. So what I want you to do, Mariah, is I want you to put your arm right there on the table, just like that. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to move the camera a little bit so we can see Mariah's arm right there on the table. So as for right now, you're not going to be seeing me. You're going to be looking at Mariah's arm right here. And this is my hand that's going over her hand.
Tom has a question.
Okay, we'll answer that question in a minute. In fact, we can answer all of the questions at the end of the show. So stay right on, Kyle, and at the end of the show, we're going to answer every question that everyone has that is actually logged in to communicate directly with me. Okay, but I want to show this technique. This is an arm-raising induction technique. And basically what it does is it helps increase a person's focus and concentration. And it utilizes what we call ideomotor responses, which could be a movement tied into a thought or a suggestion. The movement might be conscious, it might be subconscious, the person might be just doing it themselves, but it's a technique to increase focus and concentration. And here's how it works. Mariah, I want you to look at your hand right now, and what I want you to do is, I want you to leave your elbow right where it is on the table, but I want you just to lift your hand up just like this. Just lift it up just like that. Okay, I'm going to raise the camera a little bit so we can see Mariah. Okay, just lift the hand up just like that. Again. Okay, excellent. Good. So I'm showing the client, actually, I am showing the client, what's going to be happening. But I'm having them just practice lifting their hand up. Okay, excellent. Now, as you lift your hand up, Mariah, this time, I want you to lift your hand up and I want you just to let it turn in towards your face. Just like that. Excellent. Excellent. Great. Excellent. So this is a wonderful technique, Mariah, to increase your focus and concentration and to produce a very receptive state of hypnosis. Okay?
Okay.
So we're going to begin, and it's going to work very successfully on you. And I've used this technique on hundreds of people, and it works very, very successful in you becoming very receptive to creating the change you've come in for today. Okay?
Okay.
What I did was I affirmed to the client that this technique is successful. I did an affirmation. Okay, so I'm going to move this down so we can see her hand right there. Okay, I hope everyone can see it now. And as this technique continues, we're going to see some physical changes occurring to increase focus and concentration to help her get to what we call a peak of suggestibility, to be receptive today. So I want you to look down at your hand right now. Now I want you to take a deep breath in. And when you exhale, Mariah, I want you to gently close your eyes. So as you exhale, just close your eyes. And I want you to imagine your hand right there on the table, the palm of your hand resting on the table, your fingers resting on the table, your arm resting on the table, your elbow resting on the table. I want you to imagine or visualize it or even pretend that you can see that hand with your eyes closed and nod your head yes, Mariah. Good. So what we're doing is we're tapping into stimulating her imagination now. Good. So now with your eyes closed, I want you to leave your elbow right where it is on the table. But when I count from 1 up to 3, I want you to imagine that I'm placing a little string around the wrist of this hand, around the wrist of your left hand. And attached to this string is a bouquet of helium balloons, a dozen light air balloons. And when I count from 1 up to 3 and I reach 3, and I say the words higher and lighter, light as a feather, I want you to instantly, slowly, just allow your hand to start to lift and rise off the table on the count of 3. But I want you to leave your elbow right where it is, relaxed on the table. But on the count of 3, I want you to imagine I'm tying a little string to the wrist of this hand, to your left hand. Attached to the string is a dozen light air balloons, a dozen helium balloons. And on the count of 3, I want you to allow that left hand to slowly and instantly start to lift and rise off the table on the count of 3. As though there are a dozen light air balloons attached to a string attached to the wrist of that left hand on the count of 3. 1, 2, and now 3. Let that left hand start to lift and rise, higher and higher, light as a feather, slowly going higher and lighter, light as a feather. As that hand is slowly lifting, imagine that hand slowly turning in towards your face, the palm of your hand slowly twisting and turning in, as though it's magnetically turning in towards your face. And I want you to slowly and instantly let that hand pull in towards your face, coming closer and closer, lifting, rising, pulling, tugging closer and closer. When the hand touches your face, I want you to let that hand rest and relax on your face. And when that hand touches your face and rests and relaxes on your face, you're going to reach what we call a peak of suggestibility, of concentration, to allow yourself to become receptive today, to going into a very deep receptive state of hypnosis. And as that hand is touching on your face now, I want you to slowly let your head start to drop down just a little bit, but leave your hand where it is, touching and resting and relaxing on your face. Let your head slowly start to drop down with your hand touching and resting and relaxing on your face. A little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Excellent. Now, in a moment, when I say the word sleep, I want you, and this is what we can do, folks. I can have her hand drop gently onto the table. I can have her hand drop gently onto the sides, down by her side to relax. But when I count from 3 down to 0, Mariah, and I simply say the word relax, I want you to gently allow that left hand to gently just drop and relax gently onto the table. When I count from 3 down to 0 and say the word sleep, let that left hand gently relax, and when it touches the table, let it become completely and totally relaxed as it gently and slowly drops right down onto the table. 3, 2, 1, 0. Let it slowly drop, 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 and relax. And let that hand become completely and totally relaxed from the shoulders all the way down to the fingers, just as though every muscle, nerve, fiber, and tissue within that arm, hand, elbow, and shoulders are relaxed, from the shoulders all the way down to the fingertips. And you're doing perfect. And now with your eyes closed, Mariah, I want you to imagine a wonderful tingling feeling of relaxation moving from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes, from the tips of your toes all the way up to the top of your head. And I want you just to think of your entire body becoming relaxed, your eyelids relaxing, your hand and arms becoming completely and totally relaxed, as though every part of your body is completely and totally relaxed. And in a moment, I'm going to simply lift your hand up, and I'm going to just drop it right down by your side, and you're going to let your hand become completely, totally relaxed, with your head still relaxing, and your body becoming completely and totally relaxed. Don't help me lift it. Let it just completely relax. Heavier, 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 and relax. Good, that's perfect relaxation, Mariah. From the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes, completely and totally bathed in relaxation. And when I count from 1 up to 5, and I simply say the words 1 up to 5 and say the words, wake up, you'll open your eyes, you'll sit up in your chair, feeling fully refreshed. But you have the ability to allow yourself to be receptive in our hypnotherapy session, because you've performed this technique of the arm raising induction perfectly. And now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wide awake, eyes open. And Mariah, how did that feel, having that hand going up? What did that feel like to you, Mariah?
I was like, kept going.
Were you having it go up? Was it kind of going up by itself? Did it feel like?
It was like weightless.
Weightless.
Kind of thing, like gravity.
Absolutely. And that's called an ideomotor response. So again, the technique, and we're not hypnotizing you right now, but place your hand right there on the table. The arm raising induction is basically, I have the client maybe take a deep breath in and close their eyes and relax their hand. I might do a test where I have them lift their hand up a little bit with their elbow still on the table. Some people, if they're not able to get the hand and arm to move, some hypnotherapists actually will lift the hand up just like this, because sometimes gravity on this technique might not work in your favor. That's why there are so many different wonderful techniques and methods to use. But then what you do is you have the client imagine like a light air balloon. You're doing a visual imagery. And you have the client imagine that hand is getting higher and lighter, light as a feather, going higher and higher into the air. And as that client's hands go higher into the air, it gets to the point where you then have the client imagine the palm of their hand slowly starting to turn in towards their face. And you can say as though it's magnetically drawing in the palm of the hand towards their face, coming closer and closer. And as their hand is coming closer, just close your eyes, Mariah, for a moment. You can have the client start to drop their hand down towards their head down towards their hand. And then you can say, when the hand touches your face or forehead, you've reached your peak of suggestibility, which will allow you to become very receptive into hypnosis today. Okay, now open your eyes, Mariah. Okay, now you can just sit back again. And that's a wonderful technique. And again, learning hypnosis methods and techniques, folks, are important. But it's also important that you learn scientific methods. Some of these techniques are very old. They work, but some of them are 100 to 150 years old. And imagine taking an engine from an automobile, a 1910 automobile, and putting that into a modern car. We have new cars, we have new technologies, we have new computers. So it stands to reason that we should also have new advanced 21st century induction methods and techniques, which I teach in my training courses, in my live training courses. I have one-on-one training courses that I conduct here in Southern California. If you'd like to know more about them, you can go to my website at tomsilver.com, and you can research all of the methods and techniques that I teach in my one-on-one training courses. I'm also right now setting up training courses in Indonesia and throughout Asia. And any of my friends in Indonesia or Asia or Japan or anywhere in Asia, if you're interested in having a hypnosis course or maybe hosting one of my Tom Silver Advanced Scientific Hypnosis training courses, contact me. Send me an email at tom@tomsilver.com, or just go to my website and look at the course curriculum so you can see what I teach. Again, there are some wonderful schools out there, and there's some great methods. And I think as hypnotherapists, we want to explore as many opportunities for learning advanced methods as we can, because we are in an age of technology. And one of the most powerful technological computers is our mind. And that's why it's important to learn all of the different methods, scientific, as well as some of the wonderful methods like the arm raising induction technique and the progressive relaxation. So we know that some of you are here and you have some questions that you want to ask me. But before you do, I want to talk a little bit about fears and phobias also. Because 50 million Americans suffer from fear and phobic anxiety. And we have specific fears and phobias. We have social fears and phobias. Now, you probably know people that have suffered some type of fear or an extreme emotion or anxiety that we call a phobia. So I want you to think of a fear. Fear, it's good to be afraid. It's good to have caution. It's not good to be too afraid. Sometimes movies out there stimulate fears. Mariah, have you ever watched a scary movie and felt the fear of that movie?
Yep.
Do you like to see real scary movies now?
No, I don't watch them anymore.
You don't watch them because have they created fear sometimes watching that movie?
Yeah, I won't go to bed at night.
Have you sometimes watched a fearful movie and then maybe had some scary dreams because of that movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. So movies actually can be really wonderful. Movies can create fears and anxieties. And 50 million Americans suffer from fear and phobic anxiety. Now, we know we've just had some terrible destruction in Japan, and there are a lot of people now that are suffering certain types of phobias. And I'm sure with the right treatment and the right types of therapists, that those people are going to be helped. but I think it's important that we understand that we have specific fears and phobias, and we have social fears and phobias. And so I'm giving you a little bit of information on fears and phobias. My favorite technique for removing a fear and phobic anxiety is ERT, emotion replacement therapy. You've seen some of my TV shows. You see how powerful it is. John Wallaby and some of my other friends that are tuning in tonight, you probably also utilize the techniques that you've learned, ERT, to help people overcome those fears and phobias and even negative habits. But there are specific fears. Fears of insects and animals. There's fears of dangerous situations. There is fears of enclosed places, like elevators, or being enclosed in a room, or being on an airplane. Some people feel those fears of being on an airplane because they feel trapped in. So there are also fears of blood and injury, and fears of death. So you have specific fears and phobias. You also have social fears and phobias, social anxieties. Think of a phobia as a manic fear, as an extreme fear. Hey, Mariah, have you ever had a fearful experience?
Yeah.
Have you ever had a phobia, would you say, a phobic anxiety ever?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is it something you could talk to us about a little bit?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, I have this... I don't know why I've always had this big fear of drowning, but I didn't realize how serious it was until I tried to do scuba diving. And once they got me under, I started hyperventilating and I freaked out
And you never did it again?
No.
Right. So you felt some physical feelings taking place.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what happens when you experience a fear and a phobic anxiety. There are physiological experiences that take place, and they affect what's called the autonomic nervous system. So you actually can have temperature changes, you can perspire, you can sweat, you can feel nauseous, maybe you can feel a little bit sick or dizzy. Some people even faint during one of those phobic anxieties, those panic attacks, so to speak. What were your physical feelings when you were under that water and felt you couldn't breathe? What were you feeling physically?
No, I thought I was gonna die or something. I was scared.
Did you feel your heart racing? Did you feel real nervous and anxious?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you got out of the water, did you feel a lot better?
No, I was still scared.
How long did it take you to kind of feel better?
A few hours.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was a real event. She had a real experience that created that panic attack. And probably each and every one of us have some type of, extreme fear or panic attack situation that's occurred, because we've all had certain parts of trauma or traumatic events in our life. So you also have social phobias. Those are fears of intimacy, public speaking fears and anxieties, or nervousness. Some people actually, I don't think my messages are getting through. Yeah, they are. Actually, Kyle, your messages are getting through. But near the end of my presentation, I'm going to answer some of your questions here. So if you don't mind, they are getting through. It's just that I don't want to break sometimes my train of thought for all the viewers out there. So you have specific fears. Fears of dangerous situations, insects and animals, fears of enclosed places, fears of blood and injury, of accidents. So there are over 500 labeled fears, folks. Some people have fears of clouds, they have fears of days, they have fears of colors. And some fears are based on real events. Some fears are based on overreactive imagination. Some fears are even triggered by watching a movie or something that puts you into a hypersensitive state. You also have secondhand fears. And a secondhand fear is a fear that's been passed on by maybe one of your parents. 40% of people that suffer from fear and phobic anxiety might have one or both parents that actually also have a fear or phobia. And it's a fact. This is medical scientific fact. It's not hypnosis facts. These are scientific facts. For example, mom's in the kitchen and she's making dinner. And little Suzanne walks into that kitchen. And all of a sudden, Mom sees a cockroach run across the floor. Mom yells and screams. Now little Suzanne sees Mom yell and scream. Little Suzanne yells and screams. And now all of a sudden, you have what we can consider a second-hand fear. An emotion or a trauma now that has been extended into the child because they have seen someone else have this experience. And I think that happens a lot of times. Somebody experiences a catastrophe and they have a meltdown, and someone sees that and they also have a meltdown, and you have this chain reaction. This is called a secondhand fear. So we have fears and phobias. 50 million Americans suffer from fear and phobic anxiety. Now, there are different approaches that people have actually, and some of these approaches we're going to talk about today, because I think it's really important that we all understand about these fears and phobic anxieties. I think it's really important that we all understand fear and phobic anxiety and what medical doctors do. Medical doctors do something called graduated exposure. I don't know if you've heard of graduated exposure. You probably have if you've studied psychology a little bit. Graduated exposure is when a therapist gradually exposes you to that phobia or that extreme anxiety. For example, if somebody has a fear of flying, you might go and see a psychologist or psychiatrist, and they're going to maybe talk about airplanes, talk about jets, slowly expose you to the thought or the word of that. Maybe even write the word jet or airplane on a piece of paper and get you used to that. Maybe you'll come in the next week and maybe they'll show you a picture in a book of an airplane or a jet on the ground. So you can, and then talk about that a little bit, just to get you used to seeing a jet or an airplane that's right on the ground. Maybe it's in an airport. Maybe it's just a picture in a book. Maybe it's just a drawing of a plane. The next week you come in, maybe they're going to show you a plane in the air in a photograph. And then as it continues, then they might take you to that airplane. Might take you to an airport to look at a plane. Maybe they might have you step into a plane, or maybe put you on a reality simulator that simulates an airplane. Then maybe they might have you go through that virtual reality using that simulator, that kind of game that has you imagine you're going up in the air and shaking. So that you're getting used to the fear, the anxiety, gradually exposing you from the least impact to the strongest impact. So hopefully you'll learn to live with it, that you'll learn to cope with that fear or phobia. Another method is anti-anxiety medicine. Doctors give out anti-anxiety medicines all the time. Mood blockers, emotional bandages, Paxil, Prozac, Ritalin, Zoloft, Prestique. These are all, in the old days it was Valiums. These are all mood blockers to kind of get you calm and relaxed. But sometimes they have side effects where you arrive at your destination to give a big meeting and you're groggy and tired and weak, and it takes you hours to come off of that stuff. But those are emotional mood blockers, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medicines, emotional bandages. So you have virtual reality, you have graduated exposure, you have anxiety medicine, then you have flooding. I did the Sally Show years ago, and I had some psychologists talk about flooding. If you have a fear of water, Mariah, if you have that fear of water, what we would do in psychology is flooding. I might throw you into that pool with that scuba gear on. Maybe you're gonna let that trauma go, or maybe you're gonna feel more fearful. How do you think you would feel if we flooded you by throwing you into a swimming pool with a scuba gear on?
No, just that thought scares me.
Absolutely. And so those are some of the methods that doctors use. Flooding. In hypnotherapy, we can use positive suggestion. We can use visual imagery, have that client imagine themselves now feeling calm and relaxed in that situation. Or you can use ERT, emotion replacement therapy, deleting that emotional activity out of the subconscious mind and replacing it so that client doesn't even feel those emotions anymore. I got to tell you this one story. We're running out of time, but I got to tell you this real quick. The other week I had a young lady come in. Who was suffering from panic attacks, watching her mother's leg moving up and down, or seeing her mother's foot. So she, for 5 years, could not spend any time with her mother, because every time her mother crossed her legs and just moved her foot up and down a little bit, or exposed her feet, the child would have an anxiety attack. This is a teenager. She'd feel angry, she'd feel mad, she couldn't be with her mother, she couldn't be in the front seat in the car. She couldn't go to the movies with her mother. She couldn't have quiet time with her mother in the home. Their quality of life and their relationship diminished. This young lady was seeing a psychiatrist for about 3 years. Her mother worked for a renowned psychologist in Los Angeles. She came in to see me. I talked to the daughter. I even discussed about what we're going to do in hypnotherapy and my emotion replacement therapy. I did ERT on her. I deleted that emotion, that anxiety from her subconscious biocomputer. I deleted it so strong and so permanently, and I replaced it with what she wanted to feel, which was it was no big deal. Just feel like it was nothing. Feel calm and relaxed, like it was nothing. And I was able to do that in one session with ERT because I had her receptive. About 4 days later, I get a call from a psychiatrist. Hi, Tom, this is Dr. So-and-so. Can I speak to you for a minute? And, I was going, yeah, I guess. What's this in regards to? He said, well, you worked on my assistant's daughter with your hypnotherapy session and the process that you utilize, your scientific process. It works so great that her anxieties are gone. And a few weeks later, he called me again and said, they're completely gone. I don't know what you did, but the hypnotherapy works so great, I want to refer clients to you. I want to bring my granddaughter in to see you who's got a performance anxiety. I want you to send me business cards so I can bring clients that I'm not able to help to your hypnotherapy office. I thought, how wonderful. We are doing complementary medicine, folks. And if we can work with these other practitioners and they can see the results that we can achieve with our clients, they're going to also embrace our science, hypnotherapy science. So I am so happy to be able to have this weekly show with you folks. If you want to have a training in your area, please let me know. If there's any questions now, I'm here to answer some of your questions. So if you have any questions, please, folks, ask them right now. Some of you have already tuned in. And I do notice there is a question. And is it a Milton Erickson induction that you're doing now? No, it was the arm raising induction technique, which was created and utilized by some of the hypnotherapy centers for the past 30, 40 years. And it's a good basic induction technique. Okay, now let's see here. There are some other questions, and one of them is right.
Describe the difference between Milton Erickson
and Dave Elman method. What would you say the difference is? Well, every hypnotherapist, every hypnotherapy trainer, some of the greatest trainers, Milton Erickson, a wonderful trainer, Dave Elman, expert, used to work with dentists for years in being able to remove pain in their clients and fear. These are all great hypnotherapists, and every one of them have their own special techniques. You've trained probably with some hypnotherapists out there that have amazing techniques. I have 21st century advanced scientific techniques that I've been pioneering for the past 20 years that I teach in my courses. So everyone, Dave Elman and Milton Erickson, both had their own special way of communicating with their clients and empowering their clients to create wonderful life changes. They are both two of the world's greatest hypnotherapists in my book of the 20th century, of the 1900s. We're now into the 21st century. We're now into advanced scientific hypnosis technology. If you go to my website, tomsilver.com, you'll see what I do. If you're interested in having me come out to your country and maybe working with me to teach a course, one of my advanced scientific courses, or one of my Hypnosis Foundation trainers courses, please contact me. I would love to work with you. Every week, we're going to be having new ideas, new methods, and new techniques that we're going to be teaching on hypnosiswebcast.com. We're going to be talking about addictions. We're going to be talking about obesity. We're going to be discussing post-traumatic stress disorder. We're going to be even teaching more induction methods and techniques. We're going to be talking about neurological scientific hypnosis, how it affects us biologically, psychologically, physiologically, psychosomatically, and how it affects our autonomic nervous system, our central nervous system, our sympathetic nervous system. This is a science, folks. I'm Tom Silver, and I love this science, and you need to embrace it to the fullest. You need to go out there and do greatness for your clients, folks. You have to have integrity, passion, motivation, honesty, and visualize in your mind what it is you want to achieve. Affirm to your client and to yourself that your hypnotherapy succession is going to be a tremendous success, and you need to project that right intent. Because that right intent and that purity of your thought, of your motives, of your intention will create dynamic successes for your clients. And it'll create the most rewarding experiences you can ever have as a hypnotherapist. and that is empowering people to operate their mind, to think the right thoughts, and to tell their mind when to think, what to think, how to think, and when to stop thinking. I'm Tom Silver. I am so happy you've tuned in. Tell your friends and colleagues to tune in every Monday night to hypnosiswebcast.com. I'm also planning on setting up a Thursday morning webcast at 10 a.m. in the morning so my friends in England, in the UK, and throughout Europe can watch that show also and to learn. We're working together as a team. We are a family. We are a team united by our cause, and that is bringing the wonderful world of science and hypnosis to every human being and empowering people to love every day as a miracle and to be healthier and happier, more productive and successful in everything that we do. I want to thank my special guest, Mariah Jennings. Thank you so much for being here on our webcast. Isn't she lovely, folks? Maybe one day we can get her to sing a song, too. But Mariah, I want to thank you so much for allowing yourself to be here, to be on our international webcast, and to be able to participate in showing the arm-raising induction, which is a wonderful technique. We're here not to hold anything back, but to give you everything that you deserve and your clients deserve. And that is the best of everything. Pino from Italy, my friend, thank you. Giuseppe, thank you so much for tuning in on Hypnosis Webcast. I'm Tom Silver. I'm your hypnotist. And don't let anyone or anything or even your old self stand in the way of your wonderful ability to hypnotize and to help people reach the goals in their lives that they deserve. Thank you so much, Mariah, for being here this evening and being part of our show. Thank you, folks, for tuning in, and tune in every week because we're going to have a great show and it's a lot of fun. And I love making friends, and I love being and speaking the truth about this wonderful neurological science that we embrace in the 21st century as scientific hypnotherapists. Thank you, folks, and have a wonderful evening or wonderful morning wherever you're from.
The time has changed.
And also, some of you might not have been able to tune in because we did have that time change. So make sure you tune all your clocks and watches to the appropriate time. Alrighty? I love all of you. Go for greatness. Don't settle for anything less. And create miracles in your clients' lives just as you have the miracle and joy in your life of helping people reach their goals day by day, step by step in everything that they do. I'm Tom Silver. And good night, everybody. Good night.